G'day, it's Anthony Gillespie. I'm just going to be doing a whole body mobility routine, take you through all the exercises. I'm not going to do them and hold them for a long period of time because I just want to go through the movements so you can have a quick reference of the exercises to cover the whole body off when it comes to mobility. Every kind of movement plane and pattern is going to be included in this quick little workout. So I'm going to start with what I would normally start with, which is I'm calling it the tantrum, and you'll see why it might be the tantrum when you can visualize a 2 or 3 year old on the ground in the supermarket totally losing the plot. And it's a very, very similar move. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this. I'm just going to go through it. We'll talk a little bit about the movements and what muscles we're targeting, etc. So the first one, the tantrum. So just opening up the shoulders and then the lower back mobility and holding that, feeling that stretch across the body this way, and then coming over, and then obviously repeating the move to the other side, trying to keep the legs down, and then moving the legs over, and then coming over this way. Just losing my hat there. Let me show you again. This one's a little bit complicated, so I'm just spending a little bit more time on this one. And very important that if something hurts when you do this, I would be very careful with it. So particularly if you've got issues in the shoulder. So instead of this big turn across the floor, if you've got any impingement, this overhead movement could be an issue. So I'd just be careful and maybe just do the elbow move and then extend the arm, but use, discomfort that's indicative of a problem as you guide with that particular exercise. So I'm just going to go from that movement and then into what we call the angry cat and the cow move, and this is just to get some healthy movement through the length of your spine. That's probably the angry cat. And that's the cow move right there. You imagine, we're sitting in chairs, most of us, all day. The spine gets, kind of stiff because we're holding it in one position. Great to get some movement because it is an articulating joint along the length of it. So we should get it moving, and that's a good one to achieve that end. So now we're just going to look at the hip flexor. So again, because of all the sitting that we do, this muscle in the front of the hip gets very tight, and we want to create an angle back, if you can see that. And this stretch on its own is quite good, and then we go over, and that makes it a little bit more intense. So I'm just trying to relax the breath as I do that move and just go a little bit further over time. You can do this mobility workout as a complete workout by itself, so spend a bit more time on the exercises, try to extend the range of motion. You can do the routine as a warm-up to another workout you might do where you're focusing on strength, but you want to get some mobility in the body and warm up the joints, and you would go through that a little bit at a little bit faster tempo than what I'm doing now. So just to show the next little movement in this run, we're now looking at the hamstring, a little bit of balance required, and we're reaching out towards the toes. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can keep that chest up as you go out, and I feel that right in the back of the leg, the hamstrings, or I can drop my head down, and I feel a little bit more stretch through here. Everyone's got to feel a bit different depending on where they're at. Don't worry if you can't reach your toes. Just go out in that direction, and just relaxing the breathing. So you want to do both sides. I won't do the other side just for the sake of brevity on this. So now we've just done hip flexors. Obviously we had a bit of a go with the lower and upper back and the shoulders and the chest. And now I just want to focus a little bit more on the thoracic spine. So I turn and I go over and then over. This is a 4-point thoracic kind of rotation. So you can see it's over and over, around, over and over, or across and across. So 4 points on that one. So in between, I just try and loosen up the shoulders a little bit again, just, you know, just breathing. So just working on the whole body. If you think about where we're trying to mimic all the different moves that we, you know, like to be able to do in our day-to-day existence, when we're required to, you know, get around and be functional and be useful. So from that, I would normally go into potentially some standing sort of work, but I'm just going to do a couple more exercises just in terms of the glutes and the hamstrings, which you can't really do too much on the hammies. Are normally pretty tight with most people, and some of the hips, to be honest. So just going back into this one, I'm just pulling that back in towards my chest, and my toes are up. If you cannot get that far back, that's fine. If you go look at it from the side, you will notice that I can rest my head on the ground. But for some of you, there'll be a lot of tightness through here, and I would suggest putting something under the neck just to support that. And you may not get that foot up as far as that, and that's cool. Look, I'm not the most flexible or mobile person. Everyone's different. You know, this would probably be considered you know, reasonable mobility, but it doesn't matter, you know, where you get to personally. As long as you're feeling a stretch, it's predominantly a glute stretch of the bent leg with that one. So then you would probably know this one. Again, this is a hamstring stretch specifically, and a little bit of lower back as well. Just on the lower back, generally you're not trying to make your lower back super mobile, because you want that to be stable when you're doing exercises. So don't overdo the lower back stretching or mobility thing. It does feel quite nice to have a little bit of a stretch, there's no doubt about that. But in another video series, we might look at the trigger pointing, and I will be emphasizing not to overdo the foam rolling or trigger pointing in the lower back. It's the upper spine that we want to have more mobility in. So you can see I'm reaching out again towards my toes. Don't worry if you can't reach your toes. You could use a little towel just to help, you know, take yourself out in that direction. So normally from those two stretches, I would then go in and have a look at they're called the adductors. So probably from the side, you'll see, you know, my back position. I'm trying to avoid, you know, this. I'm trying to open my chest again, pushing down a little bit with the elbows, and that's focusing on the adductors. So in this particular movement, you can use a little bit of extra force from your elbows pushing down if you have that mobility to be able to get there with that, and just a bit of assisted stretch on that particular muscle group on the inside of the thighs. There's a special stretch you can do where you contract against another force to try and activate those muscles. And you only do it for about 5-10 seconds, and then you relax again and try and let the muscles you know, go a little bit further, and then you contract against it and then relax down, and you're trying to overcome what's known as a stretch reflex to improve your mobility in that area. All right, so now if you go back through what we've done, we've had a bit of a look at the lower back, the upper spine and shoulders and chest with the tantrum, if you remember that one. We then had a bit of a look at the hip flexor, the hamstrings. We also then had a bit of a go at the thoracic spine in that the kneeling. Then we've had a go at the glute stretch. Combine it a little bit with the hamstring if you can, and then specifically the hamstring with that movement right there. So I just wanted to show you one extra move that you can do from this 4-point position. So this is down and rotating up and rotating up. Really important, the breathing and relaxing as you're doing that stretch. And again, I would do that one both sides. So into a standing position. If you do have problems on your knees, that one that we're doing, the 4-point turn, you could do that standing up. There's no problem with that. I would have a go now in a standing position, because this can combine a little bit of balance practice as well. of lifting this leg and pulling that up as high as you can and trying to balance on that one leg. If you have trouble with your balance, make sure you do this somewhere safe. Hold on to something to start with if you need to, and once you get your balance, then try not to hold on to anything and really practice that ability to stabilize on one leg. And obviously we're stretching the glutes with that and getting a little bit of hip flexor movement up towards the chest. And then the opposing move would be your quad stretch and stretching the hip flexor a little bit with this move as well by squeezing your stomach. So drawing your belly button in increases the turn of your pelvis, which should then lead to a little bit more of a stretch in one of your quads, which attaches to your pelvis. So you're stretching your quads, and one of those muscles is a hip flexor as well as a leg flexor. So obviously doing both sides with that one is a good move. And again, just squeezing that tummy to get that extra stretch. And then again, just an extra hamstring stretch is this one. Again, I'm keeping that back nice and straight and pushing through. There's something about this whole routine that is going to make you feel better. I can almost guarantee that. So I just want to have a go at the calf. So I could do that up against a wall. So just checking that you can see me okay. So keeping that heel on the ground and pushing forward. I'm getting a really good stretch in the back of the calf. Another way to stretch the calf is by doing this movement just here where you're over and you're keeping that heel on the ground. If you feel like you can't get your heel down, then you walk your hands back a little bit further. If you want more of a stretch, you've got to walk your hands out. And you can swap that across like so. Okay, so that's the calf. We've covered quite a bit of the body so far. If we wanted to have a bit of a stretch of the shoulders, so this one, the hand comes across, elbow, pushing him across. And again, just breathing and relaxing. This one can look a little bit confusing, look like you're kind of hugging yourself, but think one arm across, then other one, and pushes that arm across right there, like so. Arm across, and then opposite way. So that's stretching the back of the shoulder, and then hamstring on the back of the arm. Tricep, so reaching over and then pulling that one over and keeping that close. So that's stretching that muscle there, your triceps. If you have shoulder problems and that causes you problems, anything up above the head, if that causes you issues, that's one that I probably would be very careful with. If it causes impingement in the shoulder, I wouldn't be doing that, because you're probably going to aggravate this issue in the shoulder. So again, reach over and then pull over that way. So that's quite a nice stretch. Quite enjoying this. I hope you are as well if you're going through it. So we've done pretty much the whole body. If you think about what's left, we've got your forearm stretch, that's through there, and then the other way, which is the top of the arm, we're stretching. If you've got any elbow issues, this can be something that could help, if depending on what the issue is, but just stretching those muscles in the forearms and through there and on that side. And then just a little bit of loosening through the spinal rotators. So we're just loosening up through here. Again, that feels quite good. If you're a fan of Wonder Woman, this is probably reminiscent of what she would do. So just a few little looseners of the hips, opening up the hips. I always kind of think of this movement when somebody kind of in the old westerns, used to bang the door open as they came in. The other one, the reverse of that, is over, so coming to the midpoint. And this one is, I think, kind of aptly named into the surf. You can imagine running over, trying to get your leg over the top of the waves as you run into the surf. So look, that's just a quick kind of, well, it's got 15 minutes on the clock there, of a whole body mobility routine. There's a number of other exercises that we can do, but hopefully all those ones are a good idea for you to have a go at. Disclaimer, if I don't know you, and if you're a bit unsure of these things, always check out with your doctor or your health practitioner first before you do any of these exercises. We don't want you hurting yourself. All right, I'm Anthony Gillespie. Thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little mobility and stretch routine, which you can do before you do a fuller workout with strength training, or you can just do it as a workout on a recovery day. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.